Hi guys, welcome back to the Hall of Style. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Now it's time to focus on all of the winter holidays that are right around the corner. We have Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's coming up. I'm so excited. I'm such a holidays girl and I love this time of the year. And I'm super excited today to talk about perfumes that I think remind me of the holidays and are perfect to wear to different kinds of gatherings you might be going to with family and friends this time of the year, or possibly if you're going out to a bunch of parties, or whatever you might be doing that's in the cooler weather in wintertime around the holidays. These are the perfumes that I think are perfect for that. So for this time of the year, for most of us, the weather is a little cooler, and the kind of perfumes that are perfect for that cooler weather are the ones that have sort of the heavier, thicker, richer notes. You can get away with a lot of sweet notes. You can get away with a lot of heavy gourmands and things like honey and dried fruits and heavy woods. And these perfumes that have these kind of notes will remind you sort of the holidays and winter and different things that you might be experiencing around this time of the year. Just a note that I bought all of these perfumes with my own money, so today is not a sponsored video. And as always, I'll have timestamps down below so you can skip around and just watch the parts of the video that are interesting for you for the perfumes that you might be looking for. Okay, guys, without further ado, here are 12 perfumes that to me smell just like the holidays. I'm starting out with one of my very favorite scents in the whole entire world. This is By the Fireplace by Maison Margiela's Replica line. And you guys know already, if you're a frequent viewer or reader of my content, that I love this house. They make great perfumes. And this is probably my favorite one, although it's hard to choose a favorite because I like a lot of things that they make. But this one to me smells almost identical to one of my very favorite scents in the whole world, and that's Diptyque's Vanille candle. I love that candle. I have it in 2 different sizes. I also love anything that smells like that candle, and this has that perfect sort of smoky vanilla scent that is just so similar to that candle, but I can actually wear it, and I just love this fragrance so much. So a little bit more information about By the Fireplace. It was released in 2015. Like most of the Replica line, if not all of them, it is an EDT formulation. The nose is Marie Salamagne. And what's really cool about this fragrance is kind of like I was talking about the Vanille by Diptyque. This fragrance is also available in a candle, which I have. One of my best friends gave me one and I love it so much. Shout out to her and thank you. And it also comes, I think, in room diffusers as well. So this is a great fragrance that if for some reason you like it, but it's not something you want to wear, it's more something you want to scent your house with, you can do that. The official notes from Maison Margiela's website are: the opening has pink pepper essence, orange flower absolute, and clove oil. The heart is chestnut accord, gaiac wood oil, and cade oil. And the dry down features vanilla accord, Peru balsam resinoid, and cashmeran. And why this perfume perfectly reminds me of the holidays is that it literally smells like chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Like that's the whole story here with By the Fireplace. The whole idea is that you're cozied up in front of a fireplace, roasting chestnuts, possibly with your loved ones, and just enjoying a relaxing evening in like your cozy little house with your cozy fireplace going. This perfume is all about this warm, cozy, rich, smoky vanilla. Like I was saying, it's so similar to my favorite candle by Diptyque, the Vanille scent. I love it so much. If you guys have ever tried from Anthropologie, if you've ever tried the Pharmacia line, the Vanilla Doré, it's in a very similar family with this as well. So if you really like those smoky, cozy vanillas, like with the really like kind of rich ambery vibes, I also could think of maybe like Eau Duelle by Diptyque, which I also have and love. It's really in a similar vein with all of those kind of fragrances. One of the things that makes this very holiday-ish is the chestnut accord that is here. It's super cozy. It really does smell like chestnuts and vanilla and woodsiness, like you're roasting the chestnuts on a fire. You're going to get touches of a spicy clove and pink pepper that's super good, and it blends so well with the vanilla. I love a good spicy vanilla. This verges on gourmand with the vanilla and the chestnut and those spices, but it has enough of like a smoky woodsy vibe that you're definitely going to get that woodsiness as well. And this makes this perfume, I think, a really, really good unisex fragrance. I love this and I wear this, but I know a lot of men love this too. And for some people, some women, it leans a little masculine to them for whatever reason, maybe the woods or whatever. But for me, I think it smells so delicious and I love to wear it for myself. But like my husband could wear this too. So it's a really good fragrance that I think straddles that line of unisex really, really well, where you could buy a bottle of this and you could share it with your partner. This perfume has sort of the, typical replica performance. It's an EDT, so it's not going to last forever, but I think it lasts well. It has enough sort of like heavy base notes that it does last well. So if you put this on in the morning and you're planning to wear it through the whole night, you may want to bring like a travel size with you to sort of top it off, or maybe a decanter or something you can bring in your purse or your pocket, kind of top it off after, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the performance, especially since it's an EDT. Bottom line with this fragrance, it perfectly captures that cozy feeling of snuggling in front of the fireplace in the winter in a cozy little cabin, and I just love it. I think if you love smoky vanillas, this is a must try. Okay, guys, next up on my list of the perfumes that smell like the holidays is Ellis Brooklyn's Après, which I have in a fun little travel size here that my niece actually gifted to me. Shout out, Stephanie. Thank you so much. I love it. This perfume is all about cozy ski chalet vibes. So it's very like woodsy and has this sort of alpine vibe. It's got this really nice combination of this really clean vanilla with this clean sort of like woodsy sort of cedar vibe that makes you feel like you're in like one of those big, beautiful, like wooden ski chalets that's just like a big log cabin or something in the cozy woods while you're out skiing. So a little bit more information about Après. It was released in 2021. It is an EDP formulation. The nose is Frank Voelkl, and the official notes from Ellis Brooklyn's website are: the opening has saffron, juniper berries, and cardamom. The heart features soft suede, bourbon, violet, praline, guaiac wood, and labdanum. And the dry down has musk, vanilla, patchouli, cedarwood, and sandalwood. So Après is so, so, so good if you love the feeling of sort of being in this alpine lodge and you've been out skiing all day and now you're coming back to the ski lodge to maybe have like some hot chocolate or some sort of like warm, cozy drink, and you're just kind of hanging out with family and friends and just enjoying like the snow lightly falling around you. It's literally named for the pursuit of leisurely unwinding after a morning on the slopes, so it perfectly conveys that snowy alpine vibe. I love the notes in this fragrance. I think they combine so well. I love clean vanillas. Like the combination of vanilla and cedar is one of my favorites. It's just so fresh and clean. And it's a really good unisex accord too. I feel like it works really well for both men and women. So this is another fragrance that I think is really unisex and can work for just about anybody. You really get that sweetness from the vanilla. It combines with the icy woodsy notes. And it has this sort of sandalwood, especially I think combined with the cedar as well, but it has that sort of sandalwood that might remind you a little bit of like pencil shavings, like when you freshly like sharpened a pencil, and it has that sort of fresh, clean, woodsy kind of a vibe. It has that sort of a smell to me. Everything about the performance with Après is moderate, I would say. It has a nice scent bubble that you'll notice around yourself when you're wearing it, but it's not going to blow out the whole room or anything. So it's just sort of like that perfect, kind of like Goldilocks, not too strong, not too light kind of a perfume. And it lasts decently well. It's not going to like last forever and ever and ever, but it's lasts noticeably well enough that, you know, if you spray it on for the night, you're going to be able to enjoy the scent all night. I think this is pretty safe if you like woodsy vanillas. I would definitely give it a try if you like that sort of clean woodsy vanilla vibe like I do. I think this is a really good one to check out and sample it and see if you enjoy it. Okay, guys, next up on my list is West Third Brand's Tobacco 1812, which I have in this cute little mini, and the little box looks like this. It's got a little bit of that like Byredo kind of packaging vibe, which is kind of cool and minimalistic. I love this fragrance. To me, this is the perfect blend of like a spicy, cozy tobacco and dried fruit combo that I think works so well for this time of the year and totally reminds me of the holidays. So I don't have an exact release year for this particular fragrance. I know that it came out in the 2010s, but that's about all I know on this one. It's an EDT formulation, and the nose is Michael Loring Probst. I was able to get the official notes from West Third's website, and they are linear, and they are sweet dried tobacco leaf, aromatic spices, and rich honey muddled with cocoa, tonka bean, tobacco flower, dried fruit, and exotic wood. And as you can hear from those notes, that just sounds like the holidays, doesn't it? The dried fruit vibes, the spiciness, the sort of woodsy, like cozy, like sort of spicy tobacco situation. It's just perfect for this time of the year where you are kind of craving those richer, heavier scents that have those sort of like honey-soaked dried fruits that are very sweet and cozy. Those kind of fragrances can be really cloying and just like kind of too much in the summer. But this time of the year when the weather is cooler, they're perfect for this time of the year. The first time I sprayed this on, I just instantly thought, fancy fruitcake. I don't know why, but that's what I thought of. I think it's just the dried fruit and all the spices. But I mean that in the best way possible. Like, it's so good. It's so fruity and yummy and spicy. I just love this one. But it does have that sort of like holiday fruitcake vibe, but in a really sophisticated way. Like, it's so, so, so good. The dried fruit to me is really the driving force after the tobacco with this fragrance. And it's so reminiscent of the holidays and just perfect for this time of the year. I think anytime you are going to see dried fruit in a fragrance as a note, it's going to remind you a bit of the holidays. It just has that vibe. And especially when you have that honey and those spices, it's just so cozy. You're definitely going to get a gourmandy vibe with this perfume. You've got that honey, you've got the cocoa, you've got, you know, the dried fruit, all the things I was talking about that make it feel like a very cozy sort of holiday spice, holiday sort of dessert vibe. You're really going to get that gourmandy touch here. This is super warm and cozy. You get a lot of like sort of a deep vanilla vibe, even though it doesn't mention vanilla. And, you know, it's possibly just the honey, but I do get like sort of a rich vanilla here as well. It's so good and so cozy. And it matches really well with the tobacco and the spices. It's a really nice, cozy blend that, again, is just so great for cooler weather. And it's just like, it feels like a cozy hug. This is another fragrance that I think is really unisex. Most of the fragrances, if not all of them on this list, are unisex. You have these combinations of these sort of sweeter notes that tend to be more feminine, but they meet these woodsy notes, and then there's sort of these spicy notes that work great for everybody. So I think that a lot of these perfumes, like if you buy it, you're going to be able to share it with your partner. I think, you know, it's good value for money when you can get away with doing that with perfume. The performance is pretty good here. This is sort of a cheapie. It's a really affordable fragrance. I actually found this at a little gift store that I love to go to, and I smelled it before I had ever heard of or smelled Tom Ford's popular Tobacco Vanille. And I think if you really like Tobacco Vanille, but the price tag is just like shock and awe for you, this is a really good one to check out. It's not like a super identical dupe, but it's pretty close. I've tested them side by side and it's pretty close. I definitely think it's a reasonable dupe. And I think if you like that fragrance, you should definitely give this a try. And you know, it comes in a couple of sizes. You have this travel size, and then it has a larger full bottle. So it's definitely worth your while to give this a shot. I think the value is really good for your money here with this price. And this is a really good high quality fragrance that lasts decently and performs really well for the affordable price tag. If you like fragrances that are rich, honeyed, fruity with a splash of tobacco and woods and sort of a deep, cozy, thick vanilla honey vibe, this will definitely be worth your while to try. And if you've been looking for a cheaper alternative to tobacco vinny, I think this is a must try. So you might want to give it a shot. Okay, guys, so next up is a perfume from Parle de Parfum, and this is Guimauve de Noël, which sadly I only have in a little decant. I would love to get a full bottle of this. I love this fragrance. It's so, so good. It's super sweet and marshmallowy. So as you guys know, I love my marshmallow scents. I love my sweet vanillas. I love my gourmands. This is in my wheelhouse 100%. So this perfume was released in 2016. It is an EDP formulation, and the nose is Michael Almairac. And this perfume is also available in a candle. So I think this perfume would make a fabulous candle. It's wonderful to wear, but it's so sweet and yummy that it would be a perfect candle too. The notes are kind of short and sweet with this one. The official notes from Parle. They are linear, and it just lists orange blossom and vanilla scented sugar. And the reason that this perfume reminds me so much of the holidays is the name literally translates to Christmas marshmallow. So as you can imagine, this is just super sweet. It's marshmallowy. It's cozy. It reminds you of making hot chocolate and putting one of those big fancy square marshmallows in it that you can get from like, I don't know, Anthropology or whatever, just like the big cozy marshmallows that are just huge and yummy. It totally has that vibe. So this is another clean vanilla, which you guys know I'm obsessed with that scent profile. And this time, instead of being the woodsy clean cedar vanilla, it's a very gourmand clean vanilla. This is one of those fragrances where it kind of reminds you of those perfumes like maybe Love Don't Be Shy or maybe Byredo Sundays, where you've sort of got that sweet vanilla with like a neroli that sort of gives it that marshmallow or cotton candy or, you know, those type of like really just like super sweet treat yummy scents. You have the orange blossom here, which of course orange blossom and neroli are essentially the same thing. They're just sort of extracted differently. But they both, when combined with that vanilla, that sweet vanilla, it can really give you that sort of yummy cotton candy kind of a feel. This fragrance is full on sweet, orangey, yummy goodness. It may call to mind an orange flavored Peep, if you're familiar with that candy. Or it might remind you of like an orange vanilla sherbet ice cream or orange flavored cotton candy. It's so, so sweet and yummy smelling. This is a fairly quiet fragrance. It's going to sit more close to the skin. So this is very safe to wear in close quarters with other people. You're not going to blow them away. Even though it's really sweet, I think you could get away with wearing this to work. If you really like sweet fragrances, you know, you're not going to blow everybody in the office away. So it's easy to wear this pretty much anywhere you would like. Because this fragrance doesn't really have any heavy base notes, it's not going to be the longest lasting fragrance in the world. So with this one, you may want to top it off during the day or get like a larger decant or something that you can carry in your purse or your pocket and kind of like top it off throughout the day. Or you could layer it. You could layer it with something like not a perfume that has that heavy ambroxan, or layer it with something that has like a heavier wood or a patchouli or some sort of base note, maybe amber, that will sort of like blend with it and make it last a little bit longer on your skin. Some people like a lighter scent. So if you're that type of person where you like a lighter perfume, you don't necessarily want it to be super strong and like go forever and last on your skin for like 24 hours. If you're that type of person, then this is going to be perfect just the way it is for you. Overall, I would sort of call this orange marshmallow powdered sugar sherbet It's so, so good. If you're like me and you love those really sweet sort of neroli or orange blossom plus vanilla fragrances that will call to mind cotton candy, marshmallow, or bubblegum, I think you'll really like this. I think it'll be pretty safe for you. Again, if you really like Kilian's Love Don't Be Shy, Byredo's Sundays, Parfum de Marly's Oriana, or like Memo's Sintra, if you like those kind of sweet sort of neroli, vanilla, cotton candy vibe type of fragrances or marshmallowy fragrances, I think this will be a winner for you. You should definitely give it a try and see if you like it. What do you guys think of the fragrances I've mentioned so far? Please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or if you have your own fragrances you want to add to this list. I would love to hear what you guys think. And I would love to hear what your favorite perfumes are that make you think of the holidays. Let me know. All right, guys, next up is Noël au Balcon from Etat Libre d'Orange, one of my favorite houses. As you guys know, if you watch me regularly, I talk about them all the time because they're super fun and creative and a little bit cheeky. So they're kind of fun to like check out what they're coming out with all the time. Although this is a little bit older fragrance, but it's so good. And again, sadly, only having a decant because again, not a billionaire yet. Like I said, this fragrance has been out for a little while. It was released in 2007 and it is an EDP formulation. And the nose for this fragrance is Antoine Maisondieu. The official notes from Etat Libre d'Orange's website, these are linear, and it has honey, tangerine, vanilla, cinnamon from Sri Lanka, nigella, which is also known as black cumin, red pepper, apricot, patchouli, and a solar musk accord. So this perfume literally translates to Christmas on the balcony. So it is perfect for this time of the year. And it again has those sort of cozy notes that are sort of spicy and warm and just remind you of the cooler weather type of a vibe. This holiday themed fragrance combines soothing, mild, clean musk with cinnamon and a hint of honeyed fruit. I especially get the apricot, honey, and tangerine as the fragrance opens. It's like this honeyed fruit, yummy, cozy kind of vibe. It just smells super delicious. As it further dries down, you get that cinnamon. It really moves in. It blends really nicely with the musk. The spices are not too heavy-handed here. It doesn't make you automatically think of a candle or what my friend and I refer to as wicks and sticks. If you know, you know. But it is really just like the right amount of like spice for a perfume, I think, and not immediately making you think of home scent. Some find this fragrance to have a bit of an apple cider or possibly spicy tea vibe, which I can kind of see. But for me, the stars of the show are really that clean musk and the cinnamon. So it's not necessarily tea, but it could be. It could be sort of like that chai vibe with the spices. I can see where people are getting that. This is a pretty mellow fragrance. It's mild, clean, pleasant. It's not overly loud. You know, some of Etat Libre d'Orange's fragrances are very loud. They're like screamers that are going to fill the room. This is not like that. This is much more mellow. I think you can wear this in close quarters with people. You're not going to blow them out of the room. This is just very easy to wear. And that being said, the longevity is really good. You know, this is Etat Libre d'Orange. Their fragrances are very high quality. So I think it's very long lasting. Even though it's not what you would call a screamer, it still lasts a very long time. If you like fragrances that focus on a clean musk, first and foremost, like possibly Narcisa Rodriguez for her line, or something like Ellis Le Parfum, or maybe even like Byredo Bal d'Afrique, something that has that really like clean, mellow, easy to wear type of a feel. If you like those kind of fragrances, give this one a try because it's perfect for that sort of a vibe, but it just gives you that little bit extra like holiday spice kind of vibe that makes it really fun to wear this time of the year. Okay, guys, next up for me is Dolce & Gabbana Pour Femme and Parfum Intense, which I have in a travel and a cute mini. And I love this fragrance a lot. We're kind of back to the marshmallowy kind of vibes with this one. And this is just so cozy. If you, again, love those sort of marshmallowy vibes, this is one to check out. This perfume's been out for a little while. It was released in 2012, and the Intense came out a year later in 2013. It's an EDP formulation, and the noses on this perfume were Jean-Pierre Marie and Martine Palix. Because this is an older fragrance, they don't have the notes on the website anymore, so I had to do a little bit of digging, but I think this is fairly accurate. The opening has raspberry, neroli, and tangerine. The heart is orange blossom and jasmine. And the dry down gives you marshmallow, vanilla, sandalwood, and heliotrope. And this is going to give you those same sort of vibes that Guimauve de Noël did, where you're getting this sort of Christmassy marshmallow vibe. It's also fruity. This one has more going on than the other one did, right? So you've got the fruity notes, you've got lots of orange here, you've got the orange blossom and the tangerine and the neroli. So it's really orangey, but I also find the raspberry to be really prominent here. It's so good. If you love the smell of raspberries, you'll definitely want to check this out. This is definitely all about that raspberry. And I sort of get that first and foremost. It's sort of like the raspberry marshmallow, but with the orangey vibes mixed in. You'll get this sort of tart and slightly sweet raspberry with this slightly tart, bitter orange vibe as well. I think the marshmallow is a little bit more subtle in the original. So if you like a heavier marshmallow feel, maybe try the Intense, and I think you'll get more marshmallow with that one. The dry out of this kind of reminds me of Lucky Charms fruity marshmallows. It's so sweet and good. I love it. You'll also get a little bit of pepper with this along with that raspberry, and you'll get a little bit of a woodsy dry down with this. I enjoy the woods here. It's a little bit more intense with the Intense. You're going to get a little bit more of those woods. Just it performs like an Intense, right? The marshmallows ramped up, the woods are ramped up. Everything's just a little bit heavier and deeper. And I think with the original, it leans a little bit more fruity. I would say both of these fragrances are on the lighter side. Neither of them are going to be like too much if you wear them in close quarters with other people. So I think they're pretty safe to wear out and about. You're not going to blow out the room or anything. And another thing I like about these perfumes is because they have been out for a while, you can often find them for a really good deal. They're either often on sale or you can find them at discounter websites like FragranceNet or Nordstrom Rack or maybe Joma Shop. They're often on sale for a pretty good deal. So it's good to kind of look around and price it out and see who has the best deal for these two. I would settle on this being basically raspberry marshmallow at its finest. I love this fragrance. It's so, so yummy and super addictive. And I really recommend it if you like that idea of a fruity marshmallow fragrance. Very girly. It's aptly named, called Parfum. This is one of the ones that I would say it definitely leans very feminine. Alrighty, guys. Next on my list is from cognac makers Frappin, and this is 1270, which again, decant only at this point. This is from my friends at ZGO Perfumery, who I love. They have the best customer service ever, you guys. So if you're contemplating fragrances that they carry, definitely highly recommend them a lot. They're great. 1270 was released in 2010, and then there was an extreme version that came out in 2022. The original is an EDP formulation, and the nose is Sidonie Lancesseur. I did not see notes for this perfume on their official website or any of their perfumes, so that must be sort of a separate arm. You know, this is a fine cognac company originally, but they also dabble with the perfume. So I got these notes from Javoy, which I feel is, very trustworthy website. The opening has pineapple, plum, tonka bean, coffee, candied orange, grape, cocoa, and hazelnut. The heart is candied fruits, black pepper, spices, everlasting flower, which is immortelle, and lime tree, really unique note. And the dry down features honey, wood, gaiac wood, and vanilla. And this again will just give you that feeling of maybe cozying up in front of the fireplace with like a cozy cognac and maybe some cozy like fruit bread or something that's yummy, something with honeyed fruits and that just feels very much like the holidays. There are a ton of notes going on here, as you heard, but they're very well blended. This is so good. You really get that yummy feeling of the candied, honeyed fruits, plus that nuttiness, plus the spices. Again, it just reminds you so much of traditional holiday treats that you might be enjoying around this time of year. It's gourmand, but despite all those rich notes, I don't find it sickly sweet. Again, this is this time of the year for me where I'm living. It's cooler weather. I wouldn't recommend running out and putting this on a hot summer day where it's like 100 degrees. I do think at that point it might get a little sickly. It might be a little bit much, but it's great for cooler weather and it just screams like holidays. I really get this like candied fruit vibe. It's funny because even though pear is not a listed note, I sort of reminds me of like candied pear, like maybe drizzling a pear with honey after it's been baked in the oven. So good. Has that kind of a vibe. My husband actually thinks it smells a little bit like cantaloupe, at least in the opening. So you're really getting fruitiness. I think that's the general feeling, is that the fruitiness here is really going to be one of the stars of the show. There's also a woodsiness here. I love Gaiac wood. I love Gaiac wood mixed with vanilla. That feels very holidays to me. It just has this sort of like lightly smoky, lightly sweet kind of feel. And it just blends so well with these honeyed, fruity, yummy vibes that you're getting here. This is another perfume that I think is perfectly unisex. Anyone that likes the idea of those sweet honeyed fruits and those thick, rich, yummy, wintry notes. If you love the sound of that, I would say go for it. Give this a try. Again, you can get it in a decant and try it for very little money and see if it works for you. I think the projection and longevity are fabulous here. This is a really high quality fragrance, lasts a long time, smells super good. I have heard maybe, I was kind of talking about how this is unisex. I also think the Extreme might be a little bit better for men too. It might be even a little bit more masculine, although I think both can wear both for sure. But this definitely, like the Extreme, is going to give you like a little bit of a heavier vibe, as to be expected. All in all, if you love the idea of that thick, drippy, honeyed fruit kind of vibe, I would say give this a try and see what you think. All right, guys, next up for me is Babylon by Penhaligon's. This is a very camphoric, woodsy kind of a vibe, and I think it's perfect for this cool, wintry time of year. Babylon was released in 2019, and it is from Penhaligon's Trade Routes collection. It is an EDP formulation, and the nose is Christophe Renaud. And this perfume is also available in a body and hand wash, which is kind of cool. The official notes from Penhaligon's website: the opening is cypriol, the heart is saffron, and the dry down is sandalwood, warm vanilla, and cedar. And I've also seen nutmeg and coriander mentioned as well. So this perfume for me really reminds me of the holidays because to me it smells a lot like a Christmas tree or a Christmas wreath. The cypriol in it is really, really strong here. A lot of people refer to this as a vanilla fragrance. And for them, I can see where they're getting that because there is a yummy vanilla here. But for me, the vanilla kind of takes a back seat to that cypriol, and it's really more about that like camphoric, woodsy kind of a vibe. Right off the bat, the opening is very woodsy. You get tobacco vibes, you get vanilla. It's very clean, very woodsy. I would say the spices are a little bit on the lighter side, which is kind of surprising since this is like the trade routes. It's all about like trading the spices and all that. But you will get it. You will notice the saffron for sure. It is really enjoyable and I think it blends well, but it's just not, at least for me, with my chemistry, I didn't find the saffron to be as big of a standout as for me, like the cypriol really, really takes over and kind of runs the show here. And then the longer this dries down, again, I'm really getting the cypriol first and foremost. It's quite camphoric. I would almost call it borderline medicinal. You might get a little bit of like a cough drop vibe here. And I also get this sort of like tree sap vibe. It's sort of like an evergreen tree or a conifer. If you think of that kind of like fresh, like evergreen scent, I get a lot of that here. And that's what reminds me of the Christmas trees and makes me think of the holidays. I felt like this fragrance for me on my skin was really masculine leaning. So I like this better on my husband. I think it smells really good on him. So I do think this fragrance is very unisex. I've seen women rave about it. They really get the woodsy vanilla and it's very vanillic for them. And so for them, it works. But for me, I wouldn't say it doesn't work. It just smells a little bit masculine for me. So just something to keep in mind. As always, try before you buy, get a decant or go to the store, go to a department store, find a department store that carries Penhaligon's, or if you're lucky enough to be in England and there's a Penhaligon's that you can actually go to and try it on. Spray it on your skin and see what happens. See if it goes masculine or if it's perfect. Or, it's definitely a very unisex fragrance and I think it could work for anyone. But for me, I just felt like it leaned a bit masculine in this like really woodsy kind of direction. It was like a little bit more masculine than I usually wear. This fragrance has the typical long-lasting, great quality Penhaligon's. They do it right. It is a little bit on the lighter side. I did not find that this was super strong or that it was like a room filler. So I think it is safe to wear, in close quarters with people. I don't think you're going to blow anyone away, but it does last for a really long time. It has that very typical great performance that you're all used to from Penhaligon's. Overall, if you like that idea of this sort of fresh forest, fresh woodsy Christmas tree kind of a vibe with some vanilla and spices, I would say give this one a shot and see how it works for you. All right, guys, you hanging in there with me? This is a long list, so maybe get up and stretch, have a little something to drink. Like you might need a break at this point, but stick with me here because I've got 4 more to go and they're all great. The next one I'm talking about is from the House of Oud, and this is Dates Delight. Again, only have it in a decant, unfortunately. If you guys are familiar with the House of Oud, you're used to seeing their extremely unique and beautiful bottles. They sort of remind me of like Easter eggs or something, but they're very cool looking. They're works of art within themselves. They're just really, really beautiful. And overall, this is an extremely classy house. Obviously a great choice if you're an oud lover and you love the smell of oud and you like the idea of a perfume house using it in creative ways. You'll definitely want to check out this house. Dates Delight is from their Clem Garden collection, and it was released in 2016. It is an eau de parfum concentration, and the nose is Andrea Cassotti. The official notes from the House of Oud's website: the opening has peony, an infusion of Riyadh dates. The heart has coumarin and tonka bean, which are essentially kind of the same thing, caramel, and cinnamon. And then the dry down features honey, labdanum, benzoin, icing sugar accord, and Kalimantan oud that is derived from the Asian island Borneo. So with this fragrance, you're going to get a ton of cinnamon and spices in the opening. Very spicy, very perfect for this time of the year where we love those sort of spicy things that we're making in the kitchen. I even get an impression of licorice here, even though that's not an official note. It's just an accord that my nose gets, and I really like it. I would say this actually reminds me a little bit of chai tea as it dries down. Again, with all those spices, you're sort of getting that yummy, cozy chai tea kind of spicy goodness. And my husband actually said it reminds him a bit of when you go to the grocery store around the holidays and they have those big bags of the pine cones that smell like cinnamon. You guys know what I'm talking about? I don't know about you. I think those smell so, so, so good. I love that scent. I always smell it when we go into our grocery market and it's sort of in like the florist section. They have those big bags of the cinnamon pine cones. They smell so good and they always remind me of the holidays. This kind of has that vibe to me. So if you love that kind of a smell, definitely check this out. Earlier, I was talking about how some perfumes almost would be better as a home scent, and this one is a little bit in that category for me. I do think it's very wearable, but it is strong, and you are going to get that oud. I'm not the biggest fan of oud. It's just not super great with my chemistry, and it tends to lean a little bit masculine for me. So this one, though it is unisex, I do find it has just a touch of a masculine lean, though I definitely think anyone who likes this and who loves spicy oud fragrances should check it out. You know, it can work for anyone who likes it. But for me, I think this one is almost a little bit more veering into the home candle territory, or maybe something that I prefer my husband to wear instead of me. But it's really, really good. It's a really high quality, good fragrance. You can always get quality from the House of Oud. You can always expect that it's going to be like first class all the way. Performance here is great. As with the typical House of Oud, the performance is usually really good. It's noticeable. You can really smell this. If you spray a lot on, you're probably going to fill the room. So kind of adjust that to your liking. If you don't like to, broadcast yourself with your perfume, you might want to take it slow with the sprays and just do like 1 or 2. But if you're one of those people that really likes to go full beast mode and really fill the room, you're probably really going to like this. It's got great, great performance. If you like the idea of a spicy oud with a touch of sweetness, I think this is a great one to try. And try it in the decant first because it is, kind of a work of art. It's a little bit more on the pricey side. But if you end up loving this, I don't think you can go wrong with anything from the House of Oud. Their perfumes are very well crafted. The bottles are gorgeous. Like, it's definitely a great treat. Okay, guys, next up is Starlight by Xerjoff, another one that I have in a decant. I think the rest of mine are all decants, but this is really, really nice for the holidays. It's very cozy. Even the name Starlight, for some reason, just makes me think of a cozy wintry night. This is from their Spotlight collection, and it was released in 2019. This is a Parfum formulation, so a little bit of a heavier formulation here. And I'm not sure who the nose is. I don't know why I can never seem to find the noses for Xerjoff fragrances. If you guys know, let me know. I don't know if they have the same person or if they have a bunch of different master perfumers who are creating all their different scents, but I never seem to be able to find them out, who's making their fragrances. The official notes from Xerjoff's website, the opening has cardamom and bergamot. The heart is cinnamon and almond. And the dry down is amber and cedarwood. The reason this fragrance reminds me of the holidays is it is all about this sort of like spicy, cooking something yummy for the holidays. It really has that vibe to me. You're getting that combination of the cardamom and the cinnamon along with the almond. It's so good. I wish the almond was just a touch stronger here because I'm a big fan of almond as a note. But I do think if you layered this with like a perfume that's just like straight on almond, I think it could be really good. I kind of feel like that Caswell Massey almond EDT that they have, I kind of feel like that would match really well with this because that perfume for me, I love the smell of it, but it's always just a touch light. And this has a lot more oomph, but it's just like, I wish it was a little bit heavier on the almond. So I'm all about that combination. I think it's just like perfect together. As this dries down, the cedar really comes into play, and the lion's share of this fragrance is about that cedar with the spices. So again, you've got that spicy, woodsy feel that just absolutely feels like this time of the year. The spices here are a combination of warm spicy and fresh spicy and aromatic. Because there is these sort of aromatic spices in here as well, this is another one that leans just a touch masculine, in my opinion, with my chemistry. So again, it is another unisex fragrance, but this one for me is leaning just a touch masculine. It's also a bit musky, and I think that's what's also contributing to that factor. It's like you've got this aromatic sort of vibe that's going a little fougere, a little bit masculine, and then you've got that really musky, like ramped up. Xerjoff, they can do a really heavy musk at times, and this is one of those times where it's just very noticeable. It's just a little bit more musky than I prefer to go to, and a little bit more of a, not necessarily like a clean white musk, but more of like a heavy duty musk. So it's just leaning a bit masculine for my personal taste, but this is another one that I think it smells so, so good on my husband. And again, it's just going to be a chemistry thing. Give it a try, see how it works for you. If the notes are sounding good to you, see what it does with your chemistry. You might find, oh, this is perfect. It doesn't, it's just right for me. Or if you're a guy, this might be just like so, so good, like it is on my husband, and just have that perfect amount of like the spices and the woods and the musk that you're just like, ooh, this is my jam. I have seen some people compare this to Penhaligon's Changing Constants, which is one of my favorite fragrances in the world. And I would say, yeah, this is like a little tiny bit like Changing Constants, but it's like a masculine version. So if you're a guy and you're thinking, oh, Changing Constants, I like this idea, but it's a more feminine fragrance, and I want something that's got a similar vibe, but it's going to be more masculine. This is going to be your perfect one to try, I think, because it's, missing the caramel that's so prominent in Changing Constants, which of course is one of the parts that I love super a lot. But it's got that aromatic and musky vibe instead, and it's super woodsy. So there's like some overlap, but this is definitely going to be more masculine lean for sure. As usual, this is a very high quality fragrance from Xerjoff. It performs really well. It's got good lasting power, and the notes are blended really well. And it's just overall super, super high quality, good fragrance. Comes in a gorgeous bottle, of course. Their packaging is always so, so pretty. I think if you like that idea of that spicy, woodsy, sort of musky oriental style fragrance, give it a shot. See how it goes for you. If you're a woman and you're a little bit wary, again, go with the decant. Always go with the decant. See what it does. It may be perfect for you. That could just be a chemistry thing for me. It could be perfect on your skin. So if you like the idea of these notes, definitely try decant and see how it goes for you. Okay, guys, we're almost to the end of the list. This is the second to the last perfume, and this is Jo Malone Pomegranate Noir, which I have again in a decant. This is a kind of a love it or hate it. So I'll describe the notes and what my impressions were, and you guys can see what you think, but it definitely overwhelmingly reminds me of the holidays. This perfume was released in 2005, so it's been out for a while. It is a typical Jo Malone cologne formulation. It's a little bit on the lighter side. The nose is Beverly Bane. And the nice thing about Jo Malone, if you fall in love with one of their fragrances, a lot of times they come in a lot of other products. And this is also the case with this fragrance as well. You can get it in all sorts of other like beauty products, home products, candles, etc., etc. So if you end up loving this, check it out. Or if you're like me and you're like, oh, I like the smell, but I don't necessarily think of it as something I want to wear, but it's something I like better in a candle or a home scent, they got you covered. The official notes from Jo Malone's website. The opening has pomegranate, of course, and pink pepper. The heart is Casablanca lily, and the dry down has guaiac wood and patchouli. And again, we're seeing that guaiac wood. I think, again, it matches so perfectly with these sort of holiday fragrances. It goes so well whenever you have like the vanilla and you just want this like sweet smokiness. And it matches well with the notes here too. It's just very cozy and it really feels very wintry and kind of like you've got a fireplace burning or whatever. The reason that this one reminds me so much of the holidays is that along with the pink pepper, I really get a clove vibe with this fragrance. And cloves, they're used so prominently with like holiday cooking and baking. You make the mulled cider with it. You might make a pomander ball with it. It's just perfect for this time of the year. Every time I smell it, I think of some sort of like festive holiday punch mixed with like a spicy cider kind of a vibe. It totally makes me think of holiday parties. It's so funny. The first time I tried this, I totally thought of Drakkar Noir. Do you guys remember that? The men's fragrance from Guy Laroche, and it's still being made and it's super affordable. And I actually still love the way that smells on a guy. It's so good. And back when I was in high school, I had a car freshener hanging from my car that smelled like Drakkar Noir because I liked the smell so much. I was like, this is perfect. Oh, high school. I think part of what makes this such a love it or hate it for people is there is a prominent patchouli note here. So you gotta be okay with the patchouli. It's definitely there. It's definitely noticeable. It makes this sort of deep and dark and cozy, but if patchouli is a deal breaker for you, I don't know if this is going to work for you. As always, sample it, try it. The great thing about Jo Malone is it is carried almost anywhere at any department store. So if you have like a Macy's nearby or, several different department stores, you can go in and just give it a spritz and see what you think. And if the patchouli doesn't bother you, then, this will be a really good one for you, I think. The initial scent is super fruity pomegranate. You get those sort of Christmassy holiday spices. It's really heavy on that clove vibe for me. None of the floral notes really stand out to me. Like, I don't get a lot of a lily vibe with this. It's kind of interesting. So that could just be a chemistry thing or my nose. You know, you might really get that lily, but I don't notice it. I believe them when they say it's here, but it's not a strong standout for me the way some of the other notes are. For me, it's really about the dark pomegranate fruit, heavy with that peppery and spicy vibe. There is a touch of a sour rhubarb kind of a situation going on here. And you'll sort of get that sort of tartness that matches well, I think, with everything else that's going on here. It makes it be just not like a sickly sweet sort of a situation. It sort of like cuts through that sweetness a little bit. The woods really become more prominent in the dry down. I sense maybe some cedar in addition to the guaiac wood. It's very woodsy and cozy. Someone said somewhere that it reminded them of potpourri. I kind of agree with that, with the fruitiness, the woodsiness, the spices that are going on here. It has that kind of a vibe. You may also get a little bit of a camphoric vibe here. I don't know if that's the patchouli or just maybe an unlisted note or just an accord, but you might get a little bit of that kind of a vibe as well. So again, it makes you think of the holidays with that camphoric sort of like woodsy evergreen vibe. But for some people, that combined with the fruit and the patchouli and all that, it's just a little bit much. So again, this is a very strong fragrance, like strong notes and things coming at you. So you'll want to kind of try it out, see how it is. I wouldn't blind buy a bottle of this because I just think it's probably a little bit too polarizing. But because there is a lot going on here and there's like things that are both leaning masculine and feminine, I think this is a pretty solidly unisex fragrance. I think anyone can enjoy this. Again, it reminded me of Drakkar Noir the first time I ever smelled it. So I think this could really work for guys as well as women. The projection performance is pretty good on this, even though it is a cologne and Jo Malone colognes can be a little bit fleeting. I feel like this one has pretty good performance. I think with all those heavier notes, you know, you've got the patchouli and those woods going on, and even the spices, I think it gives it some extra oomph that some of the more lighter floral Jo Malone fragrances, you know, they don't really have that, but this one does. This lasts like pretty well for me. Overall, I find this to be kind of a fun, unique, wintry scent. It's got an interesting combination of notes and it definitely smells like holidays and like Christmas to me. So if that vibe sounds like it would be a good match for you, I would definitely recommend spritzing this on, try it out, sit with it for the day and see what you think. All right, guys, we made it to the end of the list. Can you believe it? Last but not least is my last decant. This is Forest Lungs by the New Company. And this fragrance is really interesting. Their whole concept is to have this sort of stress relieving scent. So when you smell it, it's sort of like you're breathing in, you're like in a forest and you're like taking this deep breath and you're getting this sort of like forest like kind of vibe filling your lungs. And it's just like relaxing and meditative and just sort of like all of your cares wash away kind of a vibe. So Forest Lungs was released in 2020. It is an EDP formulation, and the nose is Guillaume Flavini. And the notes from the New Company's website, the opening has bergamot and black pepper. The heart has pimento berry, cardamom, and lentisque absolute. And the dry down features cedar wood, patchouli, and pine. This reminds me of going to the forest and cutting down your Christmas tree, which is exactly what we're doing this coming weekend. So if you love that idea of a fresh forest, like you're camping through the forest or hiking through the forest or chopping down your Christmas tree, this is going to give you those kind of vibes for sure. This fragrance for me is exactly what you would expect when you're thinking about this sort of camphoric Christmas tree kind of vibe. You get this sort of woodsy, mossy kind of vibe. It's very ambery. There's a slight smokiness to it, but it's very resinous. And I would definitely say woodsy first and foremost, with the resin and the smokiness kind of like right behind that. When you get that combination of that cedarwood and that patchouli, it's going to really make you feel of that fresh forest. It's going to feel earthy, mossy, and woodsy, and it's really going to make you think of that feeling of breathing in deeply when you're in the forest. I do think this can have kind of a calming effect to it. Some people are just sort of like, oh, it's just a marketing thing, whatever. But I think for some people, I think it could be sort of relaxing to smell it. If you're one of those people who's really into like essential oils and kind of breathing in essential oils, I think this will be right up your alley. I wouldn't say it will change your like crazy stressful day into like complete relaxation or anything, but I do think it has a nice calming effect to it. This perfume for me was another one that leaned quite masculine. It was a little bit too masculine for my taste on my skin, but it smelled so, so good on my husband. I absolutely love the way it smells on him. And I think it's really good for guys, but it is another one that can be unisex. So if you're a woman and you love this sort of like woodsy, mossy, earthy kind of vibe, and you love that idea of like being in the forest and just like inhaling deeply and having that fresh foresty vibe, if you're all about that, then definitely try this for sure. This was another one that I was like, ooh, it kind of reminds me of a candle. It actually reminds me of a candle that I think I have that I usually put out for the holidays that has that sort of like Christmas tree, Christmas wreath kind of a vibe. And I really, really like the way it smells. It's super good. The performance was good with this perfume. I felt like it was kind of moderate all the way around, moderate longevity, moderate kind of projection. It was just sort of like, good quality, lasted fine. It wasn't like a super screamer. So I think it's pretty safe to wear around people and you're not going to like blow out the room or anything. If you love the idea of breathing in forest woods, I think this is definitely going to be worth your while to try. And especially if you're okay with sort of a more masculine leaning, like aromatic, woodsy, earthy vibe, I think you might really like this. So what do you guys think about this list? Do any of these fragrances remind you of the holidays? Please drop me a comment down below and let me know if you agree with my choices. Let me know what your favorite holiday scents are. Let me know what I should add to the list for next year. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love to hear if you have new fragrances that maybe I haven't tried yet that would be great to add to this list. Please be sure to head on over to my website, thehallofstyle.com. Check out my many articles reviewing tons of different perfumes and other scented items. I have some great posts over there, you guys, that feature even more perfumes that would be great for the winter, the sort of cooler time of the year, and the holidays in general. There's a list of the best chocolate fragrances that I think would be great right now, the best coffee perfumes, and I also have my popular cozy as a cashmere sweater perfume list that I've mentioned before. Super great for this time of the year. All of those would be really good for right now. I also have some great lists of holiday and wintry candles and hand soaps and body washes, which would actually layer perfectly under a lot of these perfumes. So if you want to check out those articles that I've done about those other scented items, head on over to the Hall of Style and give it a look. I have a couple of other blog posts that I have to mention for this time of the year. I have a fabulous holiday gift buying guide that you guys should definitely check out if you need any ideas for affordable but elevated gifts for the whole family. And I also have a helpful article on finding travel size perfumes that are bargain priced and they make perfect stocking stuffers. So that's it for me today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you're enjoying my content, please don't forget to like this video and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. Take care. Bye.